Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Welcome back, Equity Warriors. Thanks for tuning in to another episode focused on the intersection of education and politics here on the 3E podcast. Most of you recognize that as a clause part of the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. Well, today we're going to talk about Texas. I'm sorry, I know. Again, what has happened is that Texas has passed a law, SB 763, that is requiring school boards or allowing school boards to use chaplains instead of counselors in their schools. Chaplains who don't need board certification, who don't have to have any background in mental health care, who don't have to have a credential to work with children in our public schools. They just have to pass a background check. Chaplains instead of school counselors. Now, the reason I read to you the establishment clause, or that clause from the First Amendment, the establishment clause and the free exercise clause, is because that is the foundation in our laws that prohibit governments from establishing a specific religion, from controlling religion, and on the flip side, by guaranteeing us as individual citizens a right to exercise religion as we see fit, not one that the government assigns and says that we must worship. So what's going on here? Well, let's start with public schools. They are government entities. They should not be establishing or supporting a specific religion. And by extension, if you hire a chaplain who is a person who is a leader of a religious organization, a religion, you are supporting the idea that that religion has merit or benefit to it. And we're talking about impressionable children. Not everybody shares the same beliefs. Our public schools should give help that's fair, that's not influenced by personal beliefs or personal religious beliefs. Now, it's going to be really hard. Those of you who are people of faith, it's unnatural to talk about your own religion and make those connections, your religious beliefs to your lived experience, to the way that you think and you feel. When you have people of faith in a position of authority in a public school, and you're telling children that that's who they must counsel with, you're making students of different beliefs feel left out, or worse, that there might be something wrong with them because it is not their belief system that is being supported. Our schools should be safe places. Every child should feel respected. Every child should feel included. And if you're going to be validating belief systems, then you should validate every single child's belief system, not just the one. Pushing religion isn't cool. And pushing one religion in a school is even less cool. Now, it's not their intent, I'm certain, that most good chaplains would not try to convert students during counseling. But young people might still feel pressured to believe something that they don't want to, something that they have not been taught at home, that they may not feel is okay, or that does not align with what they have been taught at home. All of us should be able to make our own choices about what we believe, and that includes our children. Now, real counselors know the deal. Trained counselors follow rules. They follow these rules to make sure that everything is kept private and kept fair. A chaplain might not know the best way to help a child with mental health care. That is not what they do. And any bad advice given could hurt not only how students think, but how they feel, how they think about themselves, and whether or not they feel themselves worthy. We have tremendous gaps in our school systems. We have achievement gaps. I hate to use that term. We have provision gaps. We have disproportionality and suspensions and expulsions. And this type of behavior can just make those unfair differences that already exist even worse. We have students who are LGBTQIA or just struggling with identity If the only person that they can counsel with when they are struggling with a mental health issue that is related to who they are or they're struggling with their identity, going to a religious chaplain at school to get your support isn't necessarily what these children need, particularly since we are talking about Texas, where gender affirming care is not acceptable. So you want our children who are LGBTQIA or trying to find and reconcile their identity to go to a religious person to help them with that. I don't think that the chaplains will understand, no offense to the chaplains, the majority, especially here in Texas, again, look who we're talking about, they're not going to understand what these children are going through. Our kids have a lot of problems to face already because of who they are and what is happening in this world that they live in. This can just make things that much worse. We have a mental health crisis in this country. We have a mental health crisis with our children. Back in episode 43, I had guests on that talked about that mental health crisis. I encourage you to go back and listen to that, because that episode gives you a viable, affordable, scientific approach to dealing with mental health care in school, real mental health support, not chaplains, mental health professionals. So check out episode 43 and then share that with your local school board as a better and viable option. And I don't want anybody to think that I'm slamming chaplains, especially those of you outside of Texas who may not know that already over 100 Texas chaplains have signed a letter pushing school districts to say no to chaplains. They don't want to be in our schools. This is a political issue, folks. It's a political agenda. And we already know that when these crazy things that Texas and Florida do doesn't stay isolated in Texas and Florida, it's coming to a state near you. Remember, not everyone has the same beliefs. Pushing one religion isn't right. Real counselors know what they're doing. Real counselors make a difference. Not having real counselors, not having real, valid, scientific mental health supports can make unfair differences even worse. Yes, it's important for our counselors to be fair and respectful to all students. And I know that counselors are overburdened and have loads that are not what is best practices. We need more counselors in school, not non-counselor supports. Schools should be safe places where all children feel supported, no matter where they come from or what they believe. So get involved, folks. Stay involved. Vote. Remember, this was a state legislature that passed this and a governor that signed it. We need to vote like our lives depend on it, because our children's lives do. So vote in your local elections, school boards who will determine whether or not to bring chaplains on campus. You need to be voting there. Vote for your mayor, your city councilor, your state representative to your state legislature, your state senators in your state legislatures, and your governors. Start attending those local school board meetings, find out what's going on, advocate through social media, follow me across my channels, like, share, subscribe, post, repost, and continue to join me every week. Remember to connect with me on social. Those links are down in the notes, and send me your questions, topics, and requests to info@askdrberry.com, and I will answer those questions and bring you experts to help address those topics. Don't worry about the things you cannot change. Change the things you can no longer accept. And I'll see you next time.